Welcome to Noble Voices, the podcast spotlighting the storytellers, champions, and changemakers shaping our industry with integrity, empathy, and purpose. I'm your host, Josh Rhett Noble, actor, advocate, coach, and occasional outlaw in a video game, but most importantly, someone who believes that noble work deserves to be heard. Today's episode is going to be a little different because we're going to be discussing Downton Abbey, the grand finale, and just how much these characters have meant to me and millions across the world. So I was introduced to Downton Abbey pretty late in the game. It was 2015. And honestly, I just wanted to see what everyone was talking about. Because everyone kept saying, you've got to watch Downton Abbey, you've got to watch Downton Abbey. And honestly, from that very first moment of the very first episode, from the Morse code sending the news about the Titanic, to our first glimpse of Mr. Bates on the train, to that haunting, beautiful melody of the theme song, I was hooked. They got me. And it honestly became my absolute favorite show of all time, my favorite binge-worthy show of all time. And in 2016, my beautiful mother, Janet Noble, was diagnosed with breast cancer for a third time. We immediately put her on a plane from Georgia to New York in hopes of getting her the best care possible. And it was during that time as her caregiver that I introduced her to the beautiful world of Downton Abbey. And she fell in love. I remember we'd have 4 to 5 doctor's appointments some weeks. Then we'd get home, I'd make us dinner, we'd sit in front of the television. We'd be 2 to 3 episodes in of a binge session. And she would turn to me with her southern twang and say, just one more, just one more. And of course, we'd watch one more, sometimes 2 or 3, honestly, get absolutely no sleep from the appointment the next day. But it brought her such joy. And it brought me joy watching her experience these characters by Julian Fellowes for the first time, these brilliantly acted performances. And one moment that stands out a lot to me was when Mrs. Hughes was fearful she might have breast cancer. And honestly, I didn't know how my mother would take this storyline, given the fact it hit so close to home. But honestly, it was a blessing. Because first off, you had the humor that was instilled during this process by Mrs. Patmore, beautifully performed by Leslie Nichol, and her bedside manner. Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Which I still quote to this day. My mother absolutely cracked up at that every single time we rewatched it. And then you had, obviously, the good news of the storyline where Mrs. Hughes was cancer-free. And that storyline, that gave my mother hope. And it gave her an escape, something that was so desperately needed during such a difficult time. Unfortunately, in 2017, we lost my mother. Those last 18 months of her life, as her caregiver, were filled with laughter, tears, love, and Downton Abbey. So much of my memory of my mother is intertwined with Downton Abbey. And it was a beautiful experience for us. It was a moment for her to just breathe, to escape. When we were given the task of having to pick out a casket for her funeral, we went down the line, and the very last casket, and I kid you not, was named Branson. And I knew that's the one that she would have wanted. And that's the one she got. She also had what she called her marigold scarf, and that's what she was buried in. One thing that's hard for me to think about is my favorite character. I think that so many of the characters are so brilliantly performed, but I have to say, Maggie Smith, the late great Maggie Smith's portrayal of the Dowager, it's got to be at the top. Not just because of the hilarious quips she had, but one moment that stands out to me was when Sybil passes away. And she comes in, Maggie, the Dowager, and she doesn't even have to say anything. She just stops and puts her hand up on the door frame and is almost a mini collapse of grief. And it was just brilliantly performed. If I have to think about what I'm looking most forward to with the final film, well, first off, I don't want it to end. But what I am looking forward to is going home. Because that's what Downton feels like to me. It feels like home. And if there's ever a prequel and you need an American cousin, I'm available. Thank you, Downton Abbey. Thank you to the cast, the creative team, Julian Fellows, for the beautiful memories of my late mother, to the escape, to the joy, and everything you do. Thanks. Until next time, keep speaking with courage, living with purpose, and listening for the noble voices around you.